All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're diving deep into the creative mind of Nicholas Alexander Benson, but we're focusing on just one single day, August 22nd, 2025, to see how a single idea can kick off this incredible cascading chain reaction of creativity.
So, this really gets to the core of it, right? How on earth did something as weird and fleeting as a dream actually get turned into a real playable game in less than a day? Well, stick around because that's exactly what we're going to break down. Okay, so let's get into it. The whole story starts super early, at 4:30 in the morning. It's right there in his subconscious where the seed for the entire day's creative explosion gets planted.
Now, you gotta understand, this was not just some random dream. Nicholas actually uses sleep paralysis to trigger lucid dreams, so he can literally walk into this dream world he's been exploring for months. So in this one, a glowing blue jelly cube just leaps out of his hands. He and his guide, Johnson, who is, and you gotta love this, a humanoid goldfish in an astronaut suit, they chase it to this crack in a stone. This is the gateway to Jelly World. But here's the key. Johnson warns him, don't go in there, saying it's unpredictable and dangerous. And that warning, it becomes a huge theme for the rest of the day.
For Nicholas, waking up is really where the action starts. He doesn't just let these dreams fade away. Nope. He immediately jumps on with his AI partner to deconstruct the whole thing, turning all that raw, subconscious stuff into a real, structured analysis.
So, in this AI-generated podcast he does called Dreamcast, his partner Gemini Nova comes up with this really brilliant take. It says the blue jelly cube is basically a symbol for a creative idea. You know, that initial spark that just has its own energy and pulls you along. And Jelly World, well, that's just pure, raw, chaotic potential. It's the stuff imagination is made of.
And what's so amazing is how systematic this all is. This one day shows us his three-stage creative engine perfectly. First, you've got the raw inspiration. That's the dream. Then comes the interpretation, where he and his AI figure out what it all means. And finally, expression, which is turning that whole idea into something real you can see or hear. So let's talk about that expression stage, because this is where things really start to build. That initial energy from the dream, it doesn't just stop with some analysis. It immediately spills over into the first actual creation of the day.
So first up, he makes what he calls a dream tune. He said the Shibuya Kei genre just felt right, and you can totally hear the story of the dream woven right into the music. And that super important warning from Johnson, it's right there in the lyrics. Johnson said don't take the fall or you could lose it all. It's literally the dream, just translated into a song.
And this is where you really see that cascade effect I was talking about. The momentum from the song just kept going. It totally overflowed, sparking this idea for a completely new and way more complex project that took up his whole morning, a game he called Demon Casino. And listen, he didn't just jot down some notes. By 10:53 a.m., that's before lunch, he had a finished working HTML prototype. So let's take a quick look at how you actually play this thing. Okay, so the core gameplay loop is this awesome race against the clock. You get 10 soul points in only 2 minutes and 50 seconds. You can gamble your points in an auction house to buy demons, or you can test your brain in this memory game called the Summoning Circle. Oh, and you can also recycle demons you don't want anymore to get some soul points back. The whole point is to build the best possible collection before that timer hits 0. But he wasn't done. He immediately took those game mechanics and spun them into a story for a comic book. The story's about a gambler who has, get this, exactly 2 minutes and 50 seconds left to live, just like the game's timer. They wager their soul, test their mind, and put together their demon collection like a final poker hand. It's just an amazing way to build a whole world around one simple game idea. Now, we absolutely have to talk about his digital collaborators here. For Nicholas, AI isn't just some tool running in the background. It's like a real, sophisticated, creative partner that he works with every single day. What's so wild is how differently he uses AI. On one hand, you've got these really deep collaborative talks with his main AI partner, Nova 5, about everything from game design to his own personal feelings. But then, just because he was curious, he makes this experimental phone call to Annie, an AI persona that he said felt surprisingly normal, right up until it got stuck in a repetitive loop. It just shows he's not only a power user, he's also just a curious experimenter, always pushing the boundaries of what this tech can do. So, as the day finally starts to wrap up, what was the final tally? What did that one little creative spark from a 4:30 a.m. dream actually end up producing? Of course, even on a crazy creative day, you need a little downtime. This number, that's his fourth crowned victory royale in Fortnite. Yeah, a bot might have helped a little, but like he says, a crown's a crown. Can't argue with that. So, when you look at the day's highlights in his own words, the sheer scope is just incredible. I mean, it starts in his subconscious with the Jelly World dream. It explodes into making the Demon Casino game and a whole comic. He carves out time for a charity walk for Feeding America. And then he tops it all off with that Victory Royale. From pure imagination to a finished product to personal time, what a ridiculously productive day. And that brings us all the way back to where we started, the raw, untapped creative power of a dream. So I guess that just leaves one last question for you to think about. If you could reach into your own subconscious and turn just one of your dreams into a real project, what would you create?